you guys? Welcome to another episode of The Daily Grind. Now, we are continuing our series where we kind of revisit some of the frames that, I don't know, I guess we've kind of had feelings about and double-checked our temperatures to see how everything is still going with that frame. Now, I really felt like I needed to take a look at Oberon again, mainly because of the fact that we did a crossfire on him ages ago, and I never kind of went through with my rework suggestions and whatnot. Now that's not going to be today's video at all. We're just going to take a look at the frame, kind of feel out his kit, see how it is all over again, and I'm going to actually shut the fuck up because people hate it when my intros go for too long. So let me go ahead and show you the build that we'll be working with today. He continues! No! So this is what I'm working with, and I've actually kind of hesitated a little bit on doing this video. I've actually spent maybe like an hour and a half getting my bearings again about Oberon, mainly because there's so many things that I want to talk about, and there's so many feelings that I have about Oberon himself, and I don't want to misrepresent anything. So I'm going to put this out on the table right now. I really like Oberon. I think he's a well-functioning frame. However, there are definitely some bits and bobs that are not quite all there, but we'll cover that in a little bit. So that's the build. Let's go ahead, and I've also been trying to get a group. I've been trying to get some pub groups over in, over with the Kuva Fortress and whatnot, but either they're not letting me in or nobody wants to join me, and I feel kind of sad about that. I'm like, somebody must love me, please. Let's cross our fingers. Let's see what happens with this. Yes! Okay, so one of the big things that I've been kind of messing around with Oberon is kind of getting a feel for his kit. A lot of people say that he's underpowered, but I have said it a million times over and over again. I personally feel that what he motherfucker straight out of the gate, right? Can't get any motherfucking peace. But no, what I kind of feel about him is that he definitely trades straight out power for versatility. He's able to do a lot of different things, and accomplish a lot of different things, and fill a lot of spaces that the group needs him to fill, whether it's support and healing, whether it's a little bit of offense, whether it's a little bit of crowd control. Rob, this is not an exterminate, just go. Oh, there's the Juggernaut. For those of you who joined me from this weekend, you guys know I had a little bit of an issue with a level 100 plus Juggernaut, and it was not pretty. Is anybody even... I don't think anybody's trying to fight him, are they? Well, I'm just gonna skedaddle. I'm gonna run on over here. And I'm gonna bring one of the big first points with Oberon. Is I feel like a majority of his kit isn't as blatant as people kind of get. And I know that sounds very, very strange, but I've actually... One of the moves that I thought was just the stupidest move ever was kind of Hallowed Ground. I thought it was pretty fucking dumb, and I'll be honest, I was kind of nervous taking him into the into all of these Kuva farms and the sorties and whatnot, because I was like, oh, he's, you know, everybody says he's underpowered, and maybe that's a little bit of kind of the brainwashing mentality. Everybody kind of has this, well, this is how I feel, and then it kind of rubs off on you a little bit, even if you are that's the Kuva, even if you are a veteran player. You know, the things that people say still do affect you to a little bit of a degree, even though you have your own brain and you've made up your own, you've got your own thoughts. But what I've kind of really been loving was for a lot of these Kuva missions, the Hallowed Ground is actually fucking fantastic because these Kuva Guardians aren't going to be knocking you down. They're not going to be knocking you around. You're not going to get kind of you know how you get stun locked with these guys? That's just a zero sum. And the same thing that happens with the fucking Kuva, what's-her-faces, the Kuva Hayeka Masters. You lay down a couple Hallowed Grounds, and your little operator who is trying to knock out a Kuva patch is no longer in a big threat. And it's not something that people think of a lot because it's such a subtle mechanic. It's very much like, oh, where are you coming from? You coming from this door? Where's the door? There's many doors. There's many doors! This door? No, that's not a door. There's just this door. Ugh. So it's definitely something that I've kind of been a fan of, and the same thing about his 1 as well. One of the big things that I really, really love about his 1 is the fact that when you use it on an enemy, it knocks them down and it opens them to ground finishers, and it also kind of debuffs enemies. Now, as you can see... Oh! Fuck off, you fucking fuck. Oh, fuck you. I guess the rest of the team is just gonna go. The rest of the team wants nothing to do with this. Where is this door? Is it this way? It's this way. But yeah, and you know, his 1 has a little bit of a debuff, has the radiation. I actually use it for crowd control quite a lot. His 3, it's good for kind of holding enemies in place, and so you see a lot of people kind of rely on it as a spam, but I mainly rely on it for spreading some radiation, kind of like thinning the group and letting whatever's... Where's are we defending this? And letting the group kind of like defend everything for itself. Now, in infested tiles where there's a lot of toxin and there's a lot of kind of statuses, I feel like Oberon does really, really well, especially Oberons that kind of pay attention to their teammates. Like if they see one of their teammates, you know, getting hit pretty hard with toxin, he can just lay that down and kind of put in a little bit of a heal over time. So he's great because he's really moldable. He can really do whatever the team needs him to do, but he pays for that a little bit with the fact that, you know, he's not the best at any one thing. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, the way that I kind of feel about it is also that I personally haven't grabbed for him. Like I haven't reached for him because I am the kind of player that will pick a specialist over a generalist. Now, does that mean that everybody does that? I think that a lot of people do it, but I'm not going to say that every single player in the game, that's the way that every single player in a game works. But as I play him more in some of these tougher missions, I'm finding that a lot of his kit is actually very, very good at supporting the team and making it easier, but not making it easier in blatant ways. It's not like the Nova Slow, it's not like the Frost Snow Globe. It's all of these small mechanical things that kind of improve the performance of the group without necessarily being something completely and utterly overt, which is why I think a lot of players feel he's underpowered. I just kind of feel like as I play more, god damn it, okay, so FYI, checkup story on this Riven, as they changed, it no longer heals enemies, but it still prevents you from dealing damage when you have 0 critical damage, and right now my kitty gave me red crits, so that's not the best synergy out there. If you see me popping a couple zeros, that's what it is. But yeah, so I think everything's a lot more subtle than players give it credit for. I think he's better than a lot of players seem to understand. But the one thing that I will say about him, and this is one of the big feelings, this is one of my shower feelings. I literally sat there in the shower and I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck is even going on in here? I think the number one thing is, when I look at Oberon, my biggest issue with him is he feels like a bunch of abilities clustered together to make something that mechanically works, but does not feel like it has any love behind it. You know what I mean? It feels like they made a character just to make a character, and they put mechanics on it just to put mechanics on it because they needed to make it work. I mean, if you look at frames like Ember, if you look at frames like Frost, if you look at Nidus, if you look at Titania, you see their themes very clearly represented. I mean, I will never get over how much I love Titania, but I mean, if you look at it, she's like this little tiny fairy that like picks up all of these glyphs to help buff her team, and then she levitates enemies away. She creates lanterns with like razor flies, and it just fits her perfectly. And then Nidus creates these patches of infestation, and he's almost this like territorial bestial creature. It feels crafted like with life and with love, you know? It really brings it to life. Even some of the older frames like Frost and Ember just sets shit on fucking fire, and then she makes that shit like burn even faster. Frost creates, like, he can create a little ice rink which just freezes enemies. It's just such a good theme. Now, can we talk about Oberon's theme? Okay, so what is he? Forest Guardian, Paladin, Druid, like... Last time I checked, the forest didn't make you confused. Is this a radiation forest? Like, what the fuck? What is going on with that? Like, that doesn't make any kind of sense whatsoever. Now, I'm not a big theater person, so I don't know, maybe the fairy king Oberon had mystical powers to confuse people? But I mean, and I'm gonna bring this up in a different video too, that's my own headcanon. That's headcanon that we've decided is true, that he is based off of Oberon, the fairy, you know, the fairy king from Midsummer Night's Eve. I don't know what the fuck, Summer's Eve? I don't know what this is. It's something like that. But yeah, so what is this? Why is he radiation based? We already have a lot of frames, and I'm not saying that this needs to be a part of the rework, but I'm just questioning the crafting of Oberon. I'm questioning the crafting of Oberon because legitimately, if we think about it, let's hit this little bit of a heal. If we question the crafting of Oberon, right? All of these other frames make so much sense, and he's just like, he's like a woodland defender that uses radiation? Last time I checked, there was no such fucking thing as radioactive trees. You know, I don't know, maybe I don't know what the forests are like now these days in this universe that DE has created. But confusing trees? I mean, I've seen some confusing wood in the past, but confusing trees? I don't think so. That just does not fly for me. That does not fly. So it's kind of like, that already doesn't feel right. Then he has a couple of abilities that just don't feel very woodlandy or defendery. It's literally, I just feel like it's a kit that has been put together to work, but not necessarily put together to fit any kind of theme. And I'll be honest with you, there are some Warframes out there that are like, that I don't necessarily love, but people gather around those themes and they're like, oh my god, there's some people that love Nidus just because he's an infested frame. Not anything behind mechanics. Like Rebecca, when she first started out with Titania, she was just posted, she just wanted a fairy frame, right? I mean, there are so many of us that embrace these themes, and for me, what the fuck is this theme? What is this theme? This theme doesn't even make any sense. When did paladins, okay? Let's jump on that theme real quick. When did paladins confuse people? Alright, in every game that I knew, paladins were defenders. They weren't confusers. So why is that a part of his kit? Like, I don't know. I just feel like there are some parts of his kit that don't quite fly. At least they don't fly for me. And that kind of makes me sad because Oberon is a really cool looking frame. He's really good for supporting the team. And I definitely feel that there are some changes that could be made to Oberon to kind of like promote him a little bit more and make him better at what he does. It feels like every time I look at what he does, I'm just kind of like, this don't make any sense whatsoever. It's kind of like yeah, when you see like, and okay, there's another thing that we need to talk about, like Hallowed Ground. Like Hallowed Ground, okay, that sounds very defendery, but it's like a fiery fairy flay. Are you like, is this a woodland? Is this like mystical woodland creature? Is that what we're going for here? Because part of me just doesn't, I don't quite buy it. I don't buy Oberon. Like, and because of the fact that he's a generalist, oh my god, are we not gonna have anything? Are we universe? Is this how this recording is gonna go? Is it because I'm talking ill of Oberon? But yeah, so I'm gonna put, you know, like it kind of comes down to, I'm gonna put a little bit of column A and column B into all of this. Say, you know, there's some things that players don't quite grasp, like the subtlety of Oberon. There's no like overt, look at how powerful I am. But at the same time, there's no kind of, I don't necessarily feel like there's any kind of love on DE's end to kind of embrace his theme and really bring it to life. And I think that with a little bit of polish, Oberon could go a much longer way. Like, as I play with him more, it's already time's up. It's like 16 minutes on the video. But let's do at least the first part of this sortie, so I can get the last few thoughts out. We're probably not going to get the greatest cut on this. But yeah, that's kind of like the way that I feel about Oberon, is like just a bunch of random mechanics smushed together. Like there's radiation and puncture on his first ability. I mean, okay, why? Like, if you're gonna kind of give him this mystical King of the Fairies theme, at least let's embrace it and kind of like make his smite not look like ribbons. Why is one thing ribbons and another thing like fairy fire, another thing like balls and shit? Like it just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't jive. And that really, at least that's what I feel hurts me the most. 262, Jesus. They're really trying to make us work for this, aren't they? So that's kind of like my stance on Oberon. However, again, I do have to clarify. I love what he does, like, what he does mechanically works. But legitimately, you could take Oberon, and you could turn him into some sort of radiated, you know, you could make his theme some sort of radiated, mutated monster of infested flesh, you know? And it would make just as much sense, right? It's like spitting out radiation that spreads from people to people. He's like setting the ground on fire. He's infecting the ground with radiation. Like, he could literally be a radiation frame. Like, it's just that the theme doesn't work for me. I'm not buying it. And I think with people making up their own headcanon, oh, he's a paladin, oh, he's a druid, what ends up happening is they kind of create the story of who he is or who he should be, and we're kind of sitting here like, wait, none of this makes sense, and he's just I. But on the other end of the spectrum, I don't feel like he's terrible. I don't feel like he's necessarily a frame that I would always reach for either. He's definitely a generalist. And I was almost thinking about this in my head, and this is kind of straying dangerously into rework talk territory. But the one thing he does seem to be able to do fairly well is buff. So I wonder if there's like something that they could, DE could do with that. Is kind of find a way to make him the buff frame, the frame that is really good at buffing. This is a weird part of the tile set. I've only seen that part of the tile set like one other time before. Because he's, like I said, when it comes down to it again, and my thoughts are all like jumbled up, and I'm very, very sorry, but there's just so many thoughts in my head, is like, he's CC, he's also damage based, he's also defensive, there's also some healing going on. It's kind of like, what's going on here? It's kind of like, hold on, wait a second. All of this, and I think that a lot of players miss out on his full potential by not using everything, because that's what I've been finding more and more as I play. It's like, I'm like, you know what, the more that I use everything, the more powerful he really comes off, or at least the more powerful I feel like he is. Oh, am I gonna hit anything? The Sancti, I've pulled out the Sancti Magistar just because I wanted to see if I can fit that theme of whatever the fuck he's supposed to be. Yeah, I got one heal off. That's gonna be my one heal for the match. But yeah, so that pretty much, I feel like that pretty much concludes my thoughts on him. Is he's just a little bit of everything. He's a bunch of mechanics bumbled into one. Not bumbled, I can't say bumbled because I don't feel like he's a bad frame. He's just a frame that if the theme was like fine-tuned a bit more, and if they kind of had a little bit more perspective on something that he could specialize in but still generalize in. Oh, I got crit kitty crits again. No, unlike, because on the other end of the spectrum, he's very much unlike Nidus. Like, a lot of people, and the thing is, a lot of people really like Nidus, and I've checked the comments and people are still all up on the Nidus hype train, and you know, I feel like justly because he has a very specific, even though he is generalized. I thought it was Nidus for a second. I thought I was tossing out a 2. I was thinking about Nidus, and then all of a sudden, it was just in my brain forever and ever. Yeah, you let's see what you got. Let's see what you got. I wonder. It seems like he's shooting at me, but it also kind of feels like he's not. So I'm trying to see if I can get him to like shoot spores this way. And see if I can, like, oh god, no, come this way. Come shoot at me, Because I'm sitting on the patch, so I want to see if, well, okay, well, that's a thing. Fuck this. I'm trying to see because I feel like he shot at me a couple times before. And as long as you're on the patch, it doesn't seem like it was doing anything to me. I don't know. But we'll find out. We'll find out next time. But yeah, Nidus is like I was saying with Nidus, is he's very specific in what he does. and people like fell in love with that because everything kind of fits his theme, even though he is technically CC, technically tank, technically offense. But because of the fact that he is focused in what he does and what he does makes sense, I think people embraced Nidus far more as opposed to Oberon, which does a little bit of everything, a little bit of you know, a little bit of damage, a little bit of CC, is just really, really good support. He can heal his team. Actually, now that I think about it, kits are very, very similar. The only thing that is different is I feel like the way you play Oberon is much more subtle than the way that you play Nidus. Nidus is like, smash one, smash one, smash one. Oberon is very much like, alright, let's confuse this group of enemies over here, let's lay down this patch to like stop status. It's kind of like his kit is too complex and too spread out, and doesn't tell a story when it all comes together. It's just like, here's a bunch of different things you can do. It all kind of works together. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, you know what? His kit is basically as messy as messy as my commentary today. I'm sorry that I couldn't give you guys something a little bit more clear and more concise, but like after a lot of time spent thinking about it and talking about it, there's just so much to cover. Everything was kind of all over the place, and I'm sorry if I was a little bit all over the place, but that kind of expresses my feels. Like, I feel like his kit works. I feel like you can use his kit and you can be very, very good with his kit. However, at the same time, I don't feel that thematically it all kind of wraps itself together. It's kind of like, let's give him an AoE ability that like blinds and radiates and also, I don't know, drops orbs, and then it's just too much at once, and I don't think that players are able to wrap their heads around it. So, I don't know. That's my rambling today about Oberon. I mean, who are you? Like, I don't get it. Like, radioactive trees? What? Doesn't make sense. Anyway, I'll try to be a little bit more clear and concise on my next video. I'm sure that all of the following videos up to the come past this will be a little bit more focused, mainly because of the fact that like Oberon's all over the place, so I'm all over the place, and that's pretty much what happens. So you guys take care. Leave me what you think about Oberon in the comments below. Let me know how you feel about him thematically, because that's really one of my big issues. Is like I just don't get him. Shut up, Ortis. I'm trying to wrap this up. Like, I know that he doesn't necessarily feel the most powerful. I do feel like his abilities are a little bit more subtle, like I'd said. So you guys tell me, do you feel like, do abilities need to be overtly like one way? Like, if you think about Ember, like it's like set shit on fire, make shit more on fire. Very, very, very simple and very, very clear, you know? Frost is slow shit down, block shit, and make shit frozen. It's very simple. Like, Oberon is very much, okay, let's prevent some status, let's do some healing, let's confuse these guys, let's puncture those guys so that they do reduced damage, let's knock that guy down, let's go ahead and, like, there's just a lot going on, and it also doesn't all fit together. It's just like weird different parts of the puzzle that aren't connected, but they're all a part of the same puzzle. I'm talking too much. I'm gonna let you guys go. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. I will attempt to talk to you more clearly and concisely next time. Bye-bye.